Listen, I saw this and I wanted to talk about like a little bit of virtue bullying as a broad topic. And I found this really good video. Well, this video actually made me want to talk about it. Excuse me, I got like a little gas. It's a TikTok where somebody tags somebody to comment on some video that she made about a person. We don't know what she did because she removed it. And I think that she removed it because she makes this really good point, I think, about proportionality of punishment and whatnot online. Let's watch what she has to say, though.
Absolutely not. Don't ever.
So it says, such and such, please look into this whole thing that she's been talking about. And then she stitched that or whatever. She used that comment to make a video.
This woman in my content. Not her, not Tizzy, not Danesh, none of them. I do not fuck with any of those people. There is a difference between addressing a person who is building a public platform and lying or misleading about their credentials in the place where that harm is happening, which is on the internet with information that that person has put forth publicly, and then addressing that person's board not as punishment or retribution, but to mitigate the harm they are causing. There is a difference between that and targeting a private individual because you don't like them. You don't like something they did. You don't like something they said. I have seen these people unearth people's court records, people's custody records. I have seen them dox people. I have seen them get people fired from their jobs that had no relation to the harm they think they caused. I have seen them create fake profiles of people's dead relatives to harass them from. These people are psychological terrorists with a vigilante complex, and they are just as dangerous, if not more, than Therapy Jessa. I was watching this episode.
Whoa! I don't know what this video is, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think like the vigilante thing is very like what it is, you know?
Like
Makes
on the
them
nose.
feel good about themselves.
I think that's what I think that everybody has. I think that unfortunately, a lot of us have a, I guess you said the word propensity towards violence. We like a form of violence. All of us like in some capacity, and that's justifiable violence, right? So you see somebody that does a bad thing, and then you go after them, but you don't really necessarily care. You might be like a little upset about what they did, but you use that to allow you to have a disproportionate response to something that they've done wrong, and you try to ruin their lives like over something. It might not be good. You might have a real piece of shit do something bad. Like I think that there's like, I don't know all the specifics. There's like people that do bad things. Like there was this one girl that was being an obnoxious asshole on an airplane because she didn't want to wear a mask or something, and it's like, oh, let's go dox them. Let's get them fired for their jobs. Like people need to be allowed to make mistakes, or else I wouldn't be born. Because the condom broke. No. People need to be allowed to make mistakes. We're not perfect, and all of us do bad things. And I think the most incredible thing is that the people who are the most aggressive against people who do bad things are usually the worst people themselves because they are not introspective. I've been really on like a quest of self-discovery. I talk about you all the time, and I feel self-conscious about like how the things I've done in the past that are like just bad. I just want to be a better person because you don't even realize how much bad shit that you might have done. And it's important to keep it in perspective and not go crazy and like beat the crap out of yourself. But like, how are you going to become a better person unless you acknowledge these issues that you've engaged in? And like, I know that these other people have like dirty laundry, but it's just that like nobody will know about it, and it's just like, damn, like what happened? These are the same people who are very left leaning, and that's fine, that will talk about how we need to reform murderers. It's like, okay, if you're going to offer reformation to a murderer, maybe the guy that had a bad day was an asshole too. Call the behavior out, criticize the behavior, say this is bad, this is why it's bad, this is wrong, but to find out their name, to name and phone number, release that. I remember they got like kids kicked out. Like I think that there were these kids at a school who did something really racist. I don't remember all the specifics, but it was like these white kids who dressed up in like blackface and for Halloween, and they canceled the wrong school that those kids went to. And you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. These kids were like 15 years old. Like they need to get their asses beat by their parents, but they're trying to find their names, their phone numbers. They wanted to make sure they couldn't even go to college. They wanted to they're doing something really wrong, but like, who are you to assign the punishment like that? And they ended up announcing the wrong school, so the school got like relentlessly harassed. It's wild. Like, this is like, I know that our court system isn't perfect, but this is why we have like a legal system, because we're not equipped to make these decisions.
It is, but that's what like the problem is as well. And just to bring it to another country that I don't really know much about.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lives in another country.
Yeah.
And someone within like their circle over there got in trouble because he was like some type of representative to some degree in the government, and he tweeted some
Islamophobic thing.
Yeah, Islamophobic things. And they were things where, like, I saw the tweets that he made, and they were Islamophobic, but in my opinion, they didn't call violence to Islamic people, but it was more of a, like, I guess I would say like a nationalist type of like,
yeah, like I understand, like,
perspective.
yeah, which is like very wrong, but didn't call violence, which is like, you should have a level of freedom of speech, but like obviously,
but like he was like a government representative, and it was Islamophobic.
Yeah.
So where they live, he lost his position, but
which makes
he
sense
also is facing jail time for that,
which
which I found very interesting, because I don't think that jail time is just going to make him more phobic, in my opinion. I don't think that, like,
well, so would losing his job.
Yes, but like anything, like the punishment system does not provide education.
Yeah.
Or anything that, so like I'm talking about that specific instance because I have like a direct like behavior and a consequence, right?
Yeah.
So here, like, we're talking about those kids that went to Walmart, or we're talking about something with families. There's at least to my knowledge, there's no psychoeducation that would actually help fix this behavior.
Right. No, there's none. In the case of the guy you're talking about, I think losing his job makes sense since like he's some kind of an official. But maybe it doesn't. Well, maybe it does, but the jail time is really bad. Like I would say mandatory sensitivity training or something, like education on why you're a fucking idiot would be a phenomenal idea. For these kids, like, what do you really do? Their parents have to give them a red ass,
Well, that's the thing too, is that I would say that like that behavior, there's some type of narrative at home that supports that behavior. If you ever did anything like that, your mother would
beat the shit
kill
out of
you.
Oh my god. Yeah. God bless her.
That wouldn't fly in my house either.
Yeah.
But there's just like certain standards in different places, and that's the thing. And that's the my social worker hat is coming on.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look at the people and their behavior and where they're at, what is learned, what's going on there. Like, we are in a time where it's like things are still changing.
Yeah.
The concept of treating people equally is rather new.
That's a good point.
And maybe it's just because of where we live, and like we're from New York. New York is a very segregated place. Specifically, Long Island is a very segregated place.
It's a lot of Italians.
Yeah, it is. But I come from a family that has a lot of racist language was used and stuff.
Yeah. Funny enough, my family doesn't use racist language.
Your family is so
except
nice.
For me. I'm the ultimate warrior. I'm just kidding. No, both my families. They're really nice family. Which, they're so nice.
They're so nice.
And then my actual
nice
family,
it makes me uncomfortable.
My actual family is not nice, but they're not racist. They're just kind of annoying. You know what I mean?
But it's just really time is changing. People learn things for certain reasons. And so you need to take that into consideration. So when I see like those kids talking, like we're talking about those kids that were in Walmart.
Yeah.
For me, like I look at that situation, I'm like, they're in the timeline, they're still back here.
Yeah.
Like where they're at, the values of their community have not moved to where we are now.
Yeah, but I don't think that the solution is to ruin their lives. Like there
No,
needs to
because
be
that
some kind
only
of
does
intervention,
things
though.
to hold them back, and like to stop someone from going to college or something like that quite literally doesn't make sense, because first of all,
That's where you'd get the education
these
to not be fucking
kids,
racist.
like I
you know?
don't like we don't even know who they are now. So am I gonna know if they go to this college or that college? No.
You know.
Could it potentially cause problems on the campus? Yes, but
But also, that's where education is supposed to happen. You're
Mhm.
supposed to, and when you go to college, I imagine it's a little more diverse than where you used to go. I mean, I'm lucky. I grew up in like a fucking, like, I think that
pretty
white people,
diverse place.
yeah, like I think white people were like the minority where I grew up. Kind of. We were like a third. It was like 30% white, 30% black, I think, like 30% Hispanic, or I don't know, 30% Hispanic, and then like 2% Asian or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
But
no,
obviously
mine
my
was
math
very-
didn't add up. It wasn't a good school. No. But it was pretty diverse. So I grew up there, and my mom worked at White Castle, and like for whatever reason, there's just my mom was like the only white person who worked at White Castle. Everybody is like, have you ever gone inside? Everybody's like a black and Hispanic and stuff. So I grew up around a lot of Hispanic people. I had a second mom, and she was Hispanic. And my mother would always say, like, if he misbehaves, you can beat him. And I didn't misbehave. I was a good boy. But I got lucky, you know?
I just want to go back for a second and saying that, like, in looking at, like, the other, I guess, contributors to people's behavior, that doesn't excuse the behavior or say that a behavior is not bad or saying
Yeah,
that it
'cause it is
doesn't
bad.
matter. That's not what I'm saying. But first of all, I think that it's better to react to something level-headed and be able to take a deep breath and go like, okay,
How do we move through
this
this?
is what we're dealing with, and this is how we address this problem so that we can move forward.
And really quick, I just want to throw in there, because the priority of it is to educate the person, not for us to feel good, right? Like
Yeah.
when you see a racist person, it's a very cathartic experience to berate them, right? And there is place for that. But from an educational perspective, the goal is what's important. How do we stop the behavior from like a psychological and educational perspective? The first step isn't to like berate somebody. So I understand socially, whatever, but like when it comes to like a system, the system needs to be a little more intelligent and less emotional.
Exactly. So again, that doesn't like excuse behavior. Behavior could still be bad. But if you're not making an effort to fix that behavior, then what are you doing?
Yeah, you're not helping at all, right? Like, because there are still going to be people that agree with those perspectives, and you're not changing anybody's mind.
No, it's like we've talked about it before. There was one night we were driving and the person in front of us was going slow, but we knew it was like there was something in front going on. And so he was like pulling to the side, trying to like look around the car in front of him to see who was going slow.
Me?
Yeah.
Why are you talking shit about me?
Because it's an
All right, go ahead.
it's like a
go
comparative
ahead.
situation.
I know what you're gonna say. I get what you mean. Go
And
ahead.
I was like, why are you trying to look ahead so you could see who you could be mad at? Like, you can't do anything
yeah,
about
we're still stuck in
it.
traffic, and you're like, yeah.
And so it's the same thing. You know, we look at these videos, these 30-second clips. We see someone doing something bad towards another person.
Yeah.
Right? And we see that 30-second clip and we like to
we
scream
make an
and yell, fuck you,
instantaneous
let's
judgment.
ruin your life.
Mm.
But what else are we taking into consideration? And other than yelling, what are you're just yelling.
Well, there's also a psychological process where the first bit of information that you interact with is the information that you're going to base your perspective on. And even if you're factually and objectively incorrect, you tend to double down on your initial perspective, which is where I think a lot of these come from. You see a video online, somebody creates a narrative, all of a sudden you believe that narrative. Because like I'll watch like weird videos in my For You page on TikTok sometimes and where else, and there's no context. So you look at the comments like this guy did this, but like that oftentimes is just not true. right? And so that now you have this entire narrative that was created off of something you had no fucking idea what's going on. And for a lot of people, they're just like, oh, that's bad, and they move on. But the loudest, most obnoxious people who want to feel the best about themselves, people who are financially incentivized to make sensationalized stories in a particular direction, the people like the ones that she called out in her video, those are the people that are like really dangerous. They're basically media, but like without the reputation. You know, unfortunately, like Fox News somehow is more reputable than these fucking psychopaths. They're held to no standard, and there's no accountability for when they get things wrong, and they don't take personal accountability. They don't apologize for their mistakes. They just continuously double down. They instantaneous news. It's breaking news content. They have a perspective. They can run with it, and the people in their sphere do not hold them accountable to it. They're losers, and they have a negative impact on society. You know, I think it would be better if we had a more educated perspective on how to educate people on particular behaviors. You know.
I also, somebody in the chat said something about how something about Brock Turner. Like, do you think that this came out of, or sorry, I think they deleted the message, but I still think it's important to touch upon, is like, do you think that this came out of situations like Brock Turner having a very like comparably small sentence or whatever, so really to the act?
Yeah, really quick with Brock Turner was somebody who sexually assaulted a woman behind a dumpster, and he basically got away with it because he had a bright future. I personally, do you want to answer it first, or?
So what I was going to say is that yes, I do think that at the core, like, that's where it starts. But I think that there's a couple of, again, like we're talking about, like where behavior comes from, right? In my opinion, from what I've observed, is I do think that it's part of the whole COVID thing. How I think that we've jumped.
Oh, as far as where it's coming from.
Yeah, that we've jumped where we are socially faster than we have before, based on everybody being at home and interacting with each other and being able to only focus on social matters. I think that's one aspect of it. I think the other aspect of it is that social media is still so new that we still do not know how to act with it.
That's actually a really good point.
You know, and how much we... Sorry.
I swear to God. I picked this woman up from the airport. The first thing that happens is that goes off, that fucking alarm that goes off.
I said, did you miss that?
And she goes, did you miss that? Right in my fucking head. Go ahead. Continue, sorry.
But anyways, like with how much we share about ourselves, and not even in the way of like, oh, like what information are people going to steal that's going to impact me financially or stuff like that. Just how much are we sharing? Even right now during this video that we're making, how much am I sharing about myself that is actually a little too intimate and I don't want other people to know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, what did I tweet out? Just even like I just said, I used to call Bam Margera's hotline and tell him that I loved him. I don't want people to know that, but here I am saying it, you know?
You think people have really bad boundaries with the internet?
Yes, most definitely. And I think that's part of it, of like filming in public, filming others. Like I really don't think that we've learned how to interact with even ourselves, but others on social media. So that compacted with how quickly we've moved socially, I really think is what has led to these, you know, these cancelings, doxing.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I had a word that I was going to say, but I don't remember. But I think that's where
we need like an internet court.
A part of this.
You know, a set of internet rules, but we don't have that. People, it's a fucking free-for-all.
No, and I think that's because, like I said, like I think it's so new. I don't think that we've talked about this a little bit about like how we, in our however many years we have now, 28, 33, how are we going to educate our children on things, or start to educate them on things that they're not going to understand until they're older? So an example of that is you know, being like sexually active.
Yeah.
You know, when you're 13, 14 years old, you're like, yeah, like I'm an adult, like whatever. But,
yeah, they think they are.
But you're not going to understand how something like being sexually active is going to impact you in your development until you are very older. But I do think that there is a way for us to find to educate young people on those things.
I think that what we do is just say you have to be a virgin until you're 30. That's going to be our daughter.
And then we're going to have grandchildren at 40.
Good. Wait, what? That'd be horrible. I'm 30. I'm 33. If we have a grandchild at 40, that's something that's happened. That'd be horrible.
So anyways,
Oh my god! And it had to be the boy that got a girl pregnant because girls can't get pregnant at that age. So
yeah,
somebody
they don't
molested our
poop
son.
either.
That's horrible.
But anyways, I don't think that we've even had enough time with social media to really take into consideration like what you're experiencing on social media as a young adult and how it's impacting you as a true adult.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do understand exactly what you're saying. Well, we're not having the right conversations about a lot of these things because I think that we talk about this every once in a while, but people do get sexually active very young, and they don't understand what it means, and so because of that, adults want to protect the young people from getting hurt, and so they get very I think very almost sensationalized about what's going to happen to you. Like, for instance, you got like some 14-year-old girls going on to like Omegle and trying to show their tits to like fucking disgusting older men, which is wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. And those old men need to go off to like an island or something. But the social conversation we have now is that like, if you did that, you're traumatized and like, you're like, you know what I mean? And we tell young people that like all older men are gonna like hurt you and they're gonna like molest you and they're gonna do this, and it scares the fuck out of people. And like we either do we just do an ineffective job of communicating. So either we can't communicate the dangers of it properly to these young people, and so they don't care and they do whatever, or we communicate too much fear, and then these people are like fucking like walking around not knowing they can't trust a fucking mailman. Do I make sense there, or am I off on am I off?
You are.
I'm off a little bit?
No, you make sense.
Yeah, it's hard to communicate that thought.
I think, like, again, relating back to the original video, what we're trying to say with this is that people don't know how to act. And so, like you said before, we don't have good boundaries with the internet.
Yep. And
so people are acting a fool. They're out here thinking that they're saving the world when they're really not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They feel like they've done like oh my God, you got this person canceled. Like, you're saving. And they feel powerful. They feel like they feel like vigilantes. They feel like fucking Batman. Like, because they were able to cancel. They, the virtuous savior of the world, was able to cancel the horrible, evil person. But you don't really know if that person is evil. You know that what they did might be evil. It might be a bad thing. But you don't know if they're evil. So you might have destroyed a person's life that had a bad day or did a bad thing, and when you could have tried to engage in like education.
Yes, and what you're doing is you're actually causing the cancellation on the social media. Social media doesn't matter. But what's happening is that the cancellation is going into real life things and then creating real problems for actual society.
Yeah.
I've seen people talking about like how they've gotten canceled and it's impacting their parents' jobs.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, that's real life issues. That's a problem. Somebody's a fucking idiot and does something stupid and they lose one job. That's fine. But why should it prevent them from being a productive member of society and going to another field to get a job?
Well,
because them losing the job probably did impact them. But if you stop them from being able to create any type of movement in their life or anything, they're just gonna become more resentful. And what's the word you use? Double down?
Yeah, they'll double down on their perspective.
And like get even deeper on what got them in trouble in the first place.
Yeah, and then there's also going to be the people that didn't get canceled, but that look at the person that did get canceled and they go, this seems like a kind of a stupid reason to get canceled, and it makes them tune out of like the greater social conversation. Again, I think the biggest issue with me is that so many people make so many mistakes as they move through life, and they can't extend any level of charitability to people who make mistakes. I don't get that fundamentally. We are all flawed creatures. We all do things that are bad. And I think it would be nice to just be like, okay, and give somebody some benefit of the doubt. Criticize the behavior. That's the thing. Criticize the behavior. Say this person did this thing and this is horrible and they're a bad person. That's fine. Say that. Or say that the behavior is bad. But you want to say that they're a bad person, do your thing. But to find out where they live and where they work and cancel them. I mean, it's one thing for a politician to get canceled, right? Because you're a political figure that's having an impact on people's like directly lives. But like, the guy that works at McDonald's, do you think that like, he needs to be fucking canceled for for what he's doing? No. Criticize him socially and then give him time to sit and think about it. Because that happened to me. You know, when I got my cancellation, I got banned on TikTok, which was kind of my job, but that's like a little different. That's a different, you know what I mean? Like that's fine. That's getting banned on TikTok isn't the same as like losing your fucking full-time job at a company. But I was able to sit down and reflect and go like, okay, you know, although I was reflecting before the ban. So, but the point is, there's something I understand getting banned off of a social media because you can get a real job, but getting banned, losing your ability to make a living at like another job is fucking wild. So yeah, you're supposed to say something.
What was I supposed to say?
Oh, I don't know. Are we good?
I think so.
Oh,
someone mentioned in the chat, it's like related but not related. Someone mentioned like, they asked about like an age limit on the use of social media.
Yeah,
I don't
30.
think I don't know. I don't really have a good opinion on this, I guess, because I come from the place. If I had my ideal world, I guess part of it is that we would provide better education so that when like kids do interact with things that isn't exactly appropriate for their age, they're just like more prepared.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I don't think that there needs to be an age limit on the concept of something like TikTok, Twitter, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But again, that's because we don't know how to behave on social media. If there's things like what's inappropriate on TikTok for children?
Boobies.
But there is no boobies on TikTok. There shouldn't be.
But there are boobies. Like just even like a covered titties, OnlyFans stuff.
But, okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like, what are we putting out there? You know?
Sure. I think that there needs to be limited monitoring from TikTok's end to try to make sure that, like, boobs don't go into a child's algorithm. But at the same time...
I just don't think that there should be boobs on TikTok.
Right, but, like, if covered boobs with cleavage, you think that there should be in that?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like OnlyFans, like there are people who plug their OnlyFans by like jiggling their tits and stuff.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like I fucking 13 years old, I had my titties out just as much as an OnlyFans girl advertising her shit did. You know why? Because I had titties and I wanted attention from boys.
Yeah, I know, but
you know what I mean. Like,
I
and
get
that's
what
the
you're
thing.
saying.
I don't think that that's a bad thing.
Well, my only issue with OnlyFans girl titties that are covered nipple wise for young boys looking at that is that the internet is like men tend to be more visual, so the internet is fucking wild. You go and you look up titties on Google and you're gonna find a girls pissing on each other, and I think that rots your brain and desensitizes you, and I think that that's a whole different conversation. But that's where I get worried a little bit when it comes to that. But what I wanted to say before to rattle off what you were saying is that I think that more than anything else, there should be classes. I'm not even kidding about social media. There needs to be deep engagements with this material of what social media is, the negative impacts it can have on your brain, and that needs to be a class inside of schools to teach kids about what's going on in an accurate way so that they can look at that teaching and go, oh, I actually am experiencing that right now. This is correct. I'm going to take this advice, you know?
Mm-hmm. I just want to go back to what you said then, and like you talked about the internet, and I know we've had very deep conversations about really the hole that you get into watching like porn.
Yeah, it's like
how deep it takes you quickly, right?
Yeah.
But so two things on that. Like, first of all, you mentioned like OnlyFans girls on TikToks. You talk about all the time how your Spanish teacher, math teacher,
English
Ms.
teacher.
Dorsa.
Stop doxing her.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. My English teacher. I was just fucking with you. But go ahead.
Like, that was your teacher in math class.
No, English.
Whatever. That was
English
your
is
teacher.
red.
So, like, if you were so crazy over your teacher, like, teenagers are crazy over anything. It doesn't have to be something special. However.
My point is that you can look it up on the internet, and I can't my teacher's ass isn't the internet. So, like, if you see it online, it's a little easier to access that. But I get that's more of a fundamental problem.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, like, I don't know, whatever. We'll just move on from that point.
You can,
but if we had better education to be able to tell like a teenager, like, hey, because all we do is say, you shouldn't look at this. Porn
Yeah.
is for 18 years and older. You shouldn't look at that.
They don't explain why.
But if
yeah.
we explained why, like, hey, like, there's things, like, even, like, sexually that, like, you might not be prepared to look at. And these
Yeah.
are the reasons why you might not be prepared
can
to
make
look
you
at
throw up.
them. And, like, when, like, you're older, you might find interest in some things, blah, blah, blah. So if you actually provided education, because that's the thing, everything, one of the things we talked about, skip or whatever, we talked about
Yeah.
physical interventions
Sure.
last week.
Mhm.
And I said, so part of that training is that you learn that if someone's having behaviors where they're engaging in property destruction and there's a chair over there, you don't say to them, don't you throw that chair,
Yeah.
because
Then they're
then they're
gonna.
going to pick up the chair and throw it.
Right.
So if we say like, oh, you can only be on TikTok if you're 16, you can only watch porn if you're 18 years and older,
That
you can
already
only
isn't
smoke
working.
when you're 19.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I'm going to find a way to seek a cigarette.
The really
I'm
really
going to
quick.
get on TikTok.
Right, but really quick, to the cigarette point is a little bit different because, like, yeah, you'll find a way to get a cigarette, but the businesses can't sell them to you. So that works pretty well, limiting the age that you can smoke cigarettes because you can't buy them yourself. It becomes very difficult. But in online spaces, saying you can't use TikTok till you're 16, how do you bypass that? You just say you're
You
17.
put in a different date.
That's-
Just the way with cigarettes, you get someone else to buy them. Or
Yeah,
use.
okay, right, but the cigarette thing is harder. It's the cigarette thing is, I think, is a little. I understand what you're saying fundamentally, but it sounds like what you're getting at is like the right solution isn't to age restrict particular things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But age restricting cigarettes is a good idea overall. This is the only point that I'm trying to get at, and it's easy, more effective because it's in the real world, so it's usually a little bit easier. It works better than restricting porn. Like a Pornhub, you just say you're 18, you're in.
Yeah.
You know.
They really make that so easy. Are you over 18?
No, kicks you out forever. You know.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that there needs to be more intelligent.
There needs to be
methods.
reason, and like that's the thing is that you can reason with young adults, teenagers.
Yeah, you can. I also think that you should let your teenage kid drink alcohol. Well, I don't think you should, but I think you can do it the right way. This didn't happen. This is a joke, but I used to drink when I was like younger. I facilitated family parties. I don't like drinking now. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. So many people hit 21 that I know, and they went fucking crazy. I hit 21 and I got drunk on my birthday, the first time I could legally drink, and then I just didn't drink for like a long time. And then like I would get drunk every once in a while, but it was pretty.
Yeah, I
limited
got
on
my
alcohol
partying
consumption.
phase out when I was 18.
Yeah.
A couple of times when I was 21, but like I was done. And we were actually just talking about this, about how we know some people who like in like their younger years, high schools, early 20s, they like suppressed parts of themselves, and now
They
we're seeing
embrace that.
now we're seeing that they're a little older now, and they're, to us it's like, what the fuck is happening? They
Yeah.
seem like a little immature,
Like
but
that
they're like
sussy baka.
living that.
Oh, are we talking about who I think we're talking about?
Yeah, what we
those
talked about at
two
dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I could like compare it to like other people in our lives as well, that they just didn't have that time to like live out those younger years, and now
Yeah.
they're doing it now
Mhm.
that they've, I don't know, they're
No,
they're
I
their
agree.
full
When you-
selves. They're
when you
able to
repress
live the way
somebody
they
too
want
much,
to.
then like they kind of explode once they're able to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. That happens fundamentally, and they kind of like start like it's like really religious people that are like, you cannot have sex, and they're like, oh, so they're virgins, and then all of a sudden they have sex once, they're like, holy, like, they just go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
No sex, no alcohol, no anything. You can't do anything. You're completely this, that, the other thing. All of a sudden they hit 18, they're like, holy shit, and they just start fucking going crazy. And that's why you see so many like devout religious families have whore daughters and sons, you know, and sons, by the way, both of them.
I know a girl that just
Sure.
got weight loss surgery, and she's been big since high school.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just stretching my leg.
And she got weight loss surgery, and like she looks good, and now like she goes out every weekend. I've seen
Interesting.
that difference.
I guess she
in
has
her.
like a feeling. Does she look good or does she look malnourished?
She looks malnourished.
It's no,
But
not,
it's
not to
a-
be rude because I
No,
understand.
but
like,
she recently got the surgery, so but
sometimes like, you know, you lose weight so fast, like your hair starts to fall out and shit, and starts to like get really brittle and stuff.
Yeah, she looks like she got weight loss surgery, but she looks happier, and like she's engaging in more activities that are important to her.
Yeah. Good for her. God bless
So,
her.
and it's like, but like we're older, you know, like
You know-
she's doing things that like I saw on social media when we were more like 21, 22.
Yeah.
You know,
You know what I would do if I lost a lot of weight?
the same thing we're doing now.
No, I would like lift you up when we're doing it. Like I'd be like, boom, boom, boom. That's the only thing that I would change. Yeah.
But yeah, so that, you know what,
Okay, so
we talk about a lot of things of what we want to do in the future and like different yeah, like different organizations we would want to have and stuff like that. I think it might be nice to develop like a curriculum to teach teens about, find a more productive way to teach teens about things that they're doing that's going to actually impact them.
Like
in
you stop
10 years.
stealing Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah.
No, I 1,000% agree with you. I think that what you're saying is very good. Sorry. Trying to burp. Yeah, I like that conversation. That was very productive.
Yeah.
Like very sexy when you're smart.